I've been a taxi driver for almost 7 years, and in that time I've picked up all kinds of passengers. Drunk people. Tourists who didn't know where they were going. People crying after breakups. Even a guy once carrying a live chicken in a cardboard box. But there's one passenger I'll never forget. Because I'm still not sure if he was ever really there. It happened on a rainy Thursday night, around 2:40 in the morning. And to this day, I refuse to drive that route ever again. At the time, I was working the night shift in a small city. Night driving paid better, and honestly, I preferred it. Less traffic, quieter roads. Most nights were pretty calm. The bars closed around 2, so after that there was usually a rush of people needing rides home. That night was different though. It had been raining for hours. Not heavy rain, but that constant cold drizzle that makes the streets shine under the streetlights. By around 2:30 a.m., the city felt almost empty. I had just dropped off my last passenger and was thinking about heading home when my dispatch radio buzzed. Pickup request. Old River Road. I hesitated. Old River Road was on the edge of town. Hardly anyone lived there anymore. Mostly abandoned buildings and old factories. But a ride was a ride. So I accepted it and started driving. The further I went, the quieter everything became. No cars. No pedestrians. Just the sound of rain tapping on the windshield and the hum of my engine. When I reached the pickup location, there was no one there. Just an empty sidewalk and a flickering street lamp. I almost reported it as a no-show. Then I saw him. He was standing under the streetlight, about 20 feet away from my taxi. Tall. Thin. Wearing a dark coat. The strange thing was, I hadn't seen him approach. One moment the sidewalk was empty. The next moment he was just there. I rolled down my window slightly. "You call for a taxi?" The man didn't answer. He simply walked over and opened the back door. He got in quietly and closed it. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. His face was mostly hidden in shadow. "Where to?" I asked. A few seconds passed before he spoke. His voice was low and calm. "Just drive." That was it. No address. No direction. Just drive. I figured maybe he'd tell me where to go after a few minutes. So I pulled away from the curb and started down the road. For a while, neither of us said anything. The only sounds were the rain and the windshield wipers moving back and forth. But something felt off. You know when you can feel someone staring at you? That's exactly how it felt. Like his eyes were fixed on the back of my head. I checked the rearview mirror again. He was sitting perfectly still. Hands in his lap. Head tilted slightly downward. Watching me. After about 5 minutes of driving, I finally asked again. "Where exactly are we going?" Silence. Then he said something strange. "Do you ever drive someone who isn't really there?" I laughed a little. I assumed he was joking. "Sometimes it feels like that," I said. "Night shifts can mess with your head." But he didn't laugh. He didn't react at all. Another few minutes passed. We were approaching a long stretch of road that ran alongside the river. There were no buildings here. No streetlights. Just darkness and trees. That's when I noticed something strange in the mirror. The back seat looked empty. At first I thought the lighting was just bad. So I adjusted the mirror slightly. Still empty. My stomach tightened. I slowly turned my head to look behind me. The seat was empty. Completely empty. But the back door had never opened. I know that for a fact. Because my taxi makes a loud clicking sound whenever a door unlocks. And I hadn't heard anything. I pulled the car over immediately. Heart racing. I turned on the interior light and looked back again. Still empty. No passenger. No sign anyone had been sitting there. The seat wasn't even wet from the rain. Which made no sense because the man had walked in from outside. I stepped out of the car and checked the doors. All of them were still locked. I stood there in the rain for a moment trying to figure out what just happened. Eventually I convinced myself that maybe the passenger had quietly gotten out when I stopped at a red light earlier. Maybe I just didn't notice. It sounded stupid, but it was the only explanation I had. So I got back in the taxi and continued driving. That's when I heard the voice again. From the back seat. Why did you stop? I nearly crashed the car. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I looked in the mirror. And there he was again. Sitting exactly where he had been before. Same posture. Same expressionless face. Like he had never disappeared. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. How did you get back there? I asked. He tilted his head slightly. I never left. The air inside the car suddenly felt cold. Much colder than it should have been. The windows started fogging up. I tried to stay calm. Alright, where do you want me to take you? I asked again. This time he gave an answer. Keep driving. His voice sounded different now. Lower. Almost like two voices speaking at once. I didn't argue. I just drove. The road ahead stretched into darkness. And I had the horrible feeling that I wasn't the one in control of where we were going anymore. After about 10 more minutes, the passenger spoke again. Stop here. I slowed the car. We were in the middle of nowhere. No houses. No lights. Just trees and the river beside the road. You sure? I asked. He nodded slowly. I stopped the taxi. The engine idled quietly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the back door opened. But I didn't see anyone get out. I heard footsteps on the wet pavement though. Slow footsteps moving away from the car. Then they stopped. Right behind my driver's door. I froze. And then, there was a knock. 3 slow taps on the glass. My heart nearly stopped. Because when I looked in the mirror, the back seat was empty again. I forced myself to turn my head toward the driver's window. Outside, standing in the rain, was the same man. Staring directly at me. His face was finally visible. And I swear, it looked exactly like mine. Same eyes. Same features. Just pale. Completely expressionless. He leaned closer to the glass and whispered something. Even through the rain and the window, I heard it clearly. Thank you for the ride. Then the streetlight above us flickered. For a split second everything went dark. And when the light came back, he was gone. I drove away immediately. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I just drove until I reached the main highway. My hands were shaking the entire time. When I finally got home, I checked my taxi's dash camera footage. I needed proof that I wasn't imagining things. The video showed the entire ride. The empty pickup location. The rain. The road. But the back seat was empty the entire time. No passenger. No one getting in. No one getting out. Just me driving alone. The strangest part came at the very end of the recording. When I stopped the car in the middle of that dark road. The camera briefly caught a reflection in the rearview mirror. A face. Sitting in the back seat. Watching me. My face. But smiling. I quit night driving the next day. And I've never driven near Old River Road again. But sometimes. Late at night. When I'm alone in my car. I check the rearview mirror. Because every once in a while. For just a second. I think I see someone sitting behind me. Waiting for another ride.